Hello again. I think this is the 6th video. I've started a new project using Nuxt, and I've done a series of videos where I wrote my first test, and I installed Vitest and wrote my first test. I then configured Nuxt environment for Vitest. I added biome.js for formatting. I forget the other things I've done. Well, actually, let's be reminded of that because I can keep track in my to-do list. Yes, set up and configure biome. I also learned how to test a view component, so I'm going to move that down to done. The next thing I wanted to do was make add Tailwind, but when I was testing this view component, I came across this Nuxt component called NuxtRouteAnnouncer, and I wondered what that was. So this video is about the NuxtRouteAnnouncer, what it is briefly, and then I'm going to write a test to verify that this component exists, or that this element exists in the user interface in the browser, and I'll show you how to do that. Let's get the dev server running, and I'll keep that in this terminal here, but I'm going to close that, or I'm going to shrink that terminal, and let's get our browser open to localhost 3000, and you can see my Nuxt app is running here. Let me show you in the elements of the page. I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. Inside the Nuxt div is a span with a class of NuxtRouteAnnouncer. That is produced by this component right here. And what this component does is announce to screen readers when the route changes. So someone who is blind or for other reasons is using a screen reader, when Nuxt changes the route, in other words, the page contents change dynamically, this little component will announce the new page title through the screen reader. It does it in a polite way, so it waits for silence and then it will speak. It has a role of alert, and it's otherwise hidden. We use this style to clip the 1 pixel by 1 pixel element. It's got a height of 1 pixel, a width of 1 pixel, and it's absolutely positioned off the page with a margin of -1 pixel. And so it disappears to probably the left of the page off screen. And then we can use it in other pages in Nuxt to where there's a composable called useAnnouncer or useRouteAnnouncer, which then sends messages up to this app.view element and speaks through the screen reader that the route has changed. It's quite an interesting approach to handling screen readers and providing a better experience for those users. So I'm going to keep it in my build. I certainly don't need it inside of a div, however, so I'm just going to change its position. And let's write a test to confirm that this thing exists. I'm going to go here where in my first video I wrote this test. It's a dumb test. It doesn't do anything except prove that Vitest was working, and that was the purpose of the test. I don't need it here. I'm going to get the test runner going, and then we'll work with this test to confirm that the NuxtRouteAnnouncer is present in the DOM. So let's move that, and I'll describe a new there we go. I'll describe a new test here. Let's say the home page content, and this has to be an async function because we're going to use async behavior inside here. Oh, let's import that. So I'm importing the described, expect, and it from Vitest. I need to also import a function called mountSuspended from Nuxt test utils runtime. There we go. And let's also import the app from app.view. So inside this test block, let's say the homepage content, it has the NuxtRouteAnnouncer for screen readers. I think that's descriptive enough. And so let's go async function to handle this test. First thing to do is use the mountSuspended function to actually mount the app, and the way that looks is like this. Let's go const component equals await the mountSuspended app, and we don't need any other options. Like you can set it to a specific route, I think, but we don't need to do that. we're just going to the home page. Now, if I console the component, what happens here? What do we get? So we have a huge component here. That's good. So it's working so far. But let's create an expectation here. We're going to expect that the component can, and we're going to find a element with a, we're going to use a CSS selector here. So a span of NuxtRouteAnnouncer, and we'll say that this should, we'll test whether this exists. I believe that should be a true or false, and we'll say to be true. Now, I have to admit, I'm cheating. I've already written this test, and that's why I could do it so smoothly. But I will now prove that the test is actually doing what it's supposed to. So for example, if I spell this incorrectly, the test will fail. Also, if I go to app.view and I remove the NuxtRouteAnnouncer, the test will fail. So we expected false to be true, right? We expected the announcer to exist, and it does not exist. Now in future, when I implement pages that will speak through this route announcer, I might come back to this test, add tests for other pages. So the home page content, something like subpage announces proper page title. And we would go to a specific route, subpage, whatever subpage route it is. And then we would do some other expectation to show that the route announcer is actually working and being used by the subpages. But for now, I'm happy with this test. It does what it's supposed to. It proves that this span, in fact, does exist in the DOM. Let's commit the code. Oh, and I can move this. Well, I don't want the working tree. I want the file over here. There we go. So move this down. The next thing I'll do, I think, is I'm going to add Tailwind, or I was reading about Nuxt UI, which includes Tailwind. I think I might go that route, and then I'll make some homepage content. The test to confirm existence of NuxtRouteAnnouncer in DOM. And there we have it.